Hey, what is up guys? In this video I want to show you how I made and installed my custom cable railing. While there are websites where you can provide your exact measurements and the company will ship you a ready-to-go railing system, I did not go this route because the cost of materials would have been 3 times more expensive. And of course, if you've been following me, you know that I like to do these projects on my own. Now that being said, first thing I did was I researched my local city codes, and I bought these simple 42-inch posts. I then measured out and drilled 10 holes exactly 4 inches apart, which is where the cables would be going through, and this has to be done on both sides. The size of the hole depends on the cable thickness and the hardware that you use. So my system design has 10 posts, 20 holes per post, so if you do the math, that's a lot of drilling, and I went through a few drill bits, even though I was using machine oil for lubrication. As you can see, the posts are rectangular, 2 inch by 1 inch. I wanted to make this look more unique, so I staggered the rotation in between posts, which is going to be 90 degrees, and I drilled the posts accordingly. Next, you can see I drew and outlined the bases for the posts. I did not want the post to be attached to the top of the Trex boards directly. Underneath the Trex boards, I had already made supports that the post would be attached to. So I used a multi-tool to cut out this area of where the post would stand. That way the post would be attached directly to the frame of the deck. Then I used zinc-plated lag screws to attach the post, but I left them slightly loose for a little bit of wiggle room for when I attach the top rail. And yes, I have specific covers to hide the base, but I will do that later. So the top rail will be connected to these adjustable heads. Originally I was going to use rivet nuts, but I realized it's going to be much stronger if it's welded together. And this last post will be attached directly to the privacy wall, which will give it good support. I have a good friend, he's a certified welder and does amazing work. I was not able to get the footage, but he did weld this top rail for me. And he did an absolutely fantastic job. So if you live anywhere in the Denver metro area and you need some professional welding done, please check out his contact info in the description of this video. Next part, we prepped the top rail, getting ready for primer and paint. Lightly sanded down all the rough areas, taped up newspaper around the posts and around the privacy wall as well. Just taped off anywhere that we don't want any accidental paint, even though the paint will match the same color as the posts. Used a combined primer and paint, black satin spray paint. The weather conditions were perfect early this morning, so after applying a couple of layers, it turned out really nice. Big shout out to my friend John for helping me out. Here's what it looked like after the paint had dried. Looks very smooth, and now we're ready to move on to the next step. This is pretty straightforward. I start on one end and pull a cable through to the next post. I then pull the cable through the hardware and put the hardware into the post. The hardware would fit very snug, so I used a rubber mallet and a screwdriver to tap it in. Then I would repeat these steps till I got to the end of the railing. When you get to the end, you have this last piece that needs to be attached using a hydraulic crimping tool. This end piece hardware allows you to adjust the tension of the cable on both sides, but you need to make sure the cable is cut precisely because you have only about a ½ an inch of adjustment per end of the cable. I crimped down the cable twice side by side to make sure it was definitely not going anywhere. Finally, you put the hardware through the post and tighten the end piece using an Allen key. Now you repeat each of these steps for each row and tighten down the cable on each end of the railing system. So after you've installed all the cables, it should look something like this.